Da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na. I would have genuinely put that at the start of the video, but sadly, if I did, it probably would be taken down immediately for copyright, so I will avoid that. But me and Cory are back to talk about Aston Villa in the Europa League, where we are on this fantastic winning streak, and hopefully it doesn't end right here because we are away to Nottingham Forest in the Europa League Semi Final, the first leg, with the winner of the two ties going to Istanbul for the Europa League final. Before we do crack on into it, let's talk to Cory and ask him the big question. How are you today, my friend?
I'm not too bad, thank you, Ben. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Right, Villa fans, big game. Let us all know in the comment section how you're feeling because it is. I think everyone's shitting themselves at the moment, to be honest with you. The kind of the vibe that I get from social media, you got Villa fans saying that, this is it, Forest, we know this is a team that we didn't want to play, we're going out. I've seen Forest fans shitting themselves over the tie as well. Like, it just seems like a recurring theme across both fan bases. Everyone is nervous, and naturally, if anyone was going into this game thinking it was going to be a fucking walk in the park, you need to give your head a wobble because ultimately it's it's a European semi-final. It's not meant to be easy. When you get to this stage, you're meant to play good teams. So, but again, I say every single time that we've spoken about this game, if you would have offered me Nottingham Forest in a semi-final of a Europa League at the start of the season, I'd have snapped your hands off. Ultimately, you've got to win a good game against a good team at some point, and we haven't played bad teams throughout the whole of the tournament. I know Fenerbahce weren't fantastic, and I know Forest dispatched of them, but ultimately, going to Fenerbahce isn't easy. Going to Turkey, we absolutely ran through Lille and ran through Bologna. So we've got to have some confidence heading into this game. What's your thoughts?
To be honest with you, I'm not. I mean, I say it now. I'm not that nervous. I don't tend to get nervous before games until right before kick-off, and obviously as soon as that sort of whistle goes, that's when it sort of kicks in for me. I'm not really thought too much about it. Like I say, at the end of the day, it's the old quote: "To be the best, you have to beat the best." Blah blah. Blah. And that's the way football is. At the end of the day, we were going to have to play someone in the Europa League to get to the final. It happens to be Forest. It could have been Forest in the final if the table would have worked out differently, but ultimately you've got to play what's in front of you, and we know what we're capable of. I'm sure they'll be coming into it with the same thing of they've got a chance, we've got a chance, and on the day it's whoever wants to turn up and play football. And I think I've said this for a while, if we play at our best, it doesn't matter if Forest play at their best, we'll win, and that's just the reality of it. We've got a better team on paper, we've got a better team overall performance wise. If the Villa players want it, they can have it, and that's the truth.
I think the big reason why a lot of fans are feeling a bit nervous at the moment is the contrasting form of the two clubs. Obviously, Nottingham Forest in their last, I think it's 8 games, have drew 3 and won 5 games but then you look at the level of opposition that they've played during that period, and this is what I'm trying to portray the message to Villa fans: just calm the fuck down a little bit. They played Sunderland and absolutely slapped Sunderland. But if you watch that game, the defending from Sunderland was of League One standard. And pretty much I think most Sunderland fans will tell you they were awful, absolutely awful that day. They played Burnley. Porto, who they scraped past 1-0. Bear in mind, Porto were down to 10 men. Jan Bednarik got sent off quite early in that game. They drew to us in a game which we should have beat them. Drew against Porto, and it required the own goal, the stupid own goal from the halfway line. They beat Spurs away 3-0, but everyone's eating at their expense this year. And they beat Midtjylland away 3-1, which is a decent result, but you still expect a Premier League side to beat them. And drew against Fulham. Is any of that really that special?
I think that, do you know what? I think the difference is, and I'm not going to take anything away from Forest. I think it's probably unfair if we belittle the performances, because at the end of the day, they just beaten the teams that are in front of them, and that's how it is. But the one thing I will say on that is they're in a different vein to what we are. They're battling relegation. They're in a position where they have to win games and they have to up their form. And ultimately, I said it in the previous podcast when we discussed Fulham and that sort of thing when we briefly spoke about this game. Forest are going into those games knowing they have to win to stay in the Premier League. We went into the Fulham game knowing we probably should be winning, and if we would have won, we probably would have confirmed Champions League pretty much now. But at the same time, we also knew we're in a position where we can afford to lose a game or two, and it maybe not have that big of an impact on us overall. Obviously, we've dropped down to 5th, but it's the same as if we were in 4th, realistically, other than maybe a couple million quid money wise. So Forest have obviously, they're going into games now knowing they have to score a lot of goals and just beat teams as quickly as possible. And that's what they've done the last couple of games. Obviously, against Burnley, they went and scored 4 in the second half, and Sunderland, they were 4-0 up by half time. I think it was 4-0 half time, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. They don't get me wrong. They might try and go do that on Thursday. They might say, right, if we can try and get 2 or 3 before half time against Villa, that'll kill the game off. But then that only plays into our hands because we'll be more than happy to let them come at us for a bit. We've done it the whole Europa League, for God's sake. Every game so far this year in the Europa League when we've played teams, the only game we've actually breezed past and probably looked comfortable for 90 minutes was the second leg against Bologna. So it'll happen. The first leg, we know that Forest will be looking at that first leg and saying, we need a positive result. We'll be looking at it saying, anything from a draw upwards is a decent result for us. So it's going to be a game of... It's probably not going to be a nice watch for Villa fans, if we're being honest, but we need to prepare for that and just get behind the lads. There's too much defeatist mentality at the moment, and that's what
there is. There is. It's baffling. I do think somewhat the performance against Fulham has had a bit of an impact on the fan base. So there's going to be a lot of Villa fans that are a bit nervous because of what we saw on the weekend. A little bit of me does think though that a lot of that's come from Unai Emery and not putting too much into that game and kind of managing the game as best as we could because we didn't want to obviously pick up any injuries. Obviously, we'll talk about team news shortly and whether Onana will be back, all that sort of stuff. But you know, I do just feel that if we wanted something out of that Fulham game and we wanted to push for it, we could have got something out of that game. Because that game was there for the taking. Even when they went 1-0 down, I still fancies us because they weren't very good, and we had multiple chances. We just didn't find the back of the net and kind of how the cookie crumbles. You know, last week against Sunderland, 3-1 up, cruising, took the foot off the gas, and you know we conceded the 2 goals. They still found a way to get through and get the 3 points. I think that's all that Thursday is about for me. Is just managing the tie. Just got to remember, this is only half time. So it's keeping, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we see this game as being very pragmatic and we just try and manage it pretty much the whole game as best as we can. Try and take our moments if we can. If we lose the game and we lose by 1 goal, seriously, it's not the end of the world. Bring them back to Villa Park. Think what that atmosphere will be like under the lights at Villa Park. It will be absolutely raucous. Like that will be the best atmosphere at Villa Park this season by a country mile against Nottingham Forest. So the big thing is for me is just staying in that tie because obviously the Olympiacos game, the tie was as good as buried when we went over to there. We didn't really give ourselves an opportunity.
I think that's the thing, like you say, it is half time. I think we need to go into that thing of, let's say we come away from the City ground with a 2-0 win, for example. That game's still not done. Because Forest can easily go and beat us 2-0 at Villa Park. I'm not saying they will. But we can't go in with that mentality of it's done. We've done it so many times in the past. You look at the League Cup semi final a few years ago when we lost to Bradford. Swansea go through, and you're thinking, right, brilliant. We play Swansea in the final if we get there. Underestimate Bradford. Don't go and do our job. That is the exact same here. We can't be looking forward to the final now saying, Freiburg and Braga, we can beat both of them. It needs to be a case of Forest are in front of us. You dispatch them on Thursday, and you do the same again next Thursday. Get it done. Win both games. I know it's easier said than done, but win both games.
It's mentality, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Win both games, get it done. Like we did with Bologna. We could have gone to Bologna and said, right, we're going to sit back, try and nick a draw in Italy, and try and beat them at Villa Park. If we did that, we might not be sat here right now talking about a semi-final, because we could have easily lost 2 or 3-0 in Italy because we tried to do that. And then go and not get the result at Villa Park. But instead, we're in a position now where we've gone to Bologna twice, beat them twice. We did the same with Lille. We beat Lille twice. We're in, 9 games now in a row we've won? So
it's 10, isn't it?
I think would it be 10 against Forest? I don't know.
It's neither here or there. Let's move on.
Way, we're on a run now of winning games, and that's something that's a bit different from this Villa team of previous. Ajax, when we did the Conference League, we drew in the Netherlands and then won 4-0 at Villa Park. The Lille game, We won at Villa Park and then lost in France, and then Olympiacos ultimately we lost both games. That's the difference now. Is this year round, we've beat Lille both legs, we've beat Bologna both legs. We have to go and do the same to Forest.
That's nice to think about. Maybe might not be realistic, but why not? Why not? As you say, we've got a better team than what Forest have. If we turn up, and the thing is, I think the players will turn up, and this, like I say, people are so tetchy about it because of the performance we've seen on the weekend. We will not see that Villa on Thursday night. Not a chance in hell. And this is the thing that I think about when I think about this game is Forest. A lot of these Forest players won't have been in this level of competition at this stage. This will be a completely new kettle of fish for a lot of these players. Is that the word, kettle of fish? But a completely new situation for all these players. So, these games are very intense emotionally, physically, but the emotional side of it, they're draining. They are very taxing on footballers. So it's like, I think we've got the experience now from being in the game against Olympiacos. Bear in mind, a lot of the team that probably will play on Thursday have played in that game. A lot of them will have played in the semi-final against Crystal Palace. A lot of them have played in the quarter-final against PSG. They've all played in these big games for Aston Villa, and I just think now we've got that experience behind us to just take it to that next stage and get to the final and see us over the line. We've got to have somewhat a bit of confidence, a bit of hope, a bit of optimism. Because if you don't, what's the fucking point in being a football fan? If you're going into that game defeatist and thinking you're going to lose, just don't watch it.
I think as well, something else to think about, which hasn't really been mentioned, is we're going into this pretty much neck and neck. Neither team is a heavy favourite. Like, a couple of weeks ago, you probably would have said Villa were heavy favourites going into it, just based off Premier League and stuff. But neither team is a heavy favourite, I wouldn't say, which makes it a level playing field. There's no extra pressure added to these players, so they can go out and perform. And another thing, which I know it's an external thing, but you look at Forest, for example, now. By the time they're playing on Monday, I believe, Forest in the Premier League, they've got Chelsea on Monday, right?
Yeah.
I know it's a different kettle of fish, the Premier League, but Spurs are playing us, and West Ham are playing whenever they're playing. They're playing Brentford on Saturday. All of a sudden, they could be going into that second leg, Forest, level on points with West Ham.
Yeah, they could be.
And 1 point ahead of Spurs.
And then
it's
massive.
Sudden, exactly, all of a sudden, then it's like, oh, well, if we're 1-1 or something going into that second leg, I'm not saying they're going to sacrifice it, but they're going to have to take that thing of saying, we can't afford to play Champions League football next year if we're playing Championship football. It's a big thing, and Chelsea has still got something to play for as well. So Chelsea, I mean, obviously getting that final as well. Chelsea are going to go into their game against Forest in the Premier League thinking we can still get Champions League here, especially if
they need sixth. If we finish fifth. So, just to confirm, it is 9 Europa League games in a row that we've won. Just you were correct, and it's 11 out of 12 that we've won, with the one game being that absolute shit show of display. Go ahead, Eagles! But like, this is the thing, we've kind of just like made this talk. Oh God, I'm starting to get myself a bit nervous now. We've made it look easy to this point. Just continue what we've done so far, and we'll be fine.
I think. Do you know what it is? I think, like I say, it's because it's a Premier League clash. Everyone automatically worries. Straight away, you're playing against a team who, listen. Obviously, we always knew it was either going to be Forest or Porto, and I think everyone said they wanted Porto just because it's a different team, this sort of thing. But again, like, we've got to go into it and just play football. Like, there's not a lot I can say. I don't want to get too overly confident about it, and I'm not saying I am 100% sure we're going to win both games, and that's not what I'm saying when I say we need to win both games. What I'm saying is, if we go out there and win both games, you're into the final. And I know that's like a proper David Brent moment saying that, like, it's so obvious. You win both games, you go into the final.
But that's as simple as it is.
Exactly. We've done it against Lille. We've done it against Bologna. We've had too many times where we put ourselves in a position. The PSG game last year, we knocked ourselves into a corner and then had to build back, and obviously ultimately
think about the goals that we conceded that day as well. And the one late minute at that last minute of their place,
last minute goal, and that's what we did to Bologna. We got that third goal, and I remember saying, I think I said to you on the phone after that Bologna game, I said that could be our PSG moment where if Bologna were to stake some sort of fight back against us at Villa Park, that third goal was the safety buffer. And we might have that moment with the Forest as well. It might be that we're 2-1 up and we get a late third or something like that and just kill it off completely. But it's a hard game to speak about because both teams are going to be up for it.
Of course they will.
There's a lot of externals going into it from the league perspective. We don't know how teams are going to necessarily line up. We know obviously Forest are missing a couple of players for it.
Well, they're missing Murillo, aren't they?
Well, they're definitely missing Hudson-Odoi.
Hudson-Odoi and Murillo, so I'm led to believe.
Yeah,
they're sweat. Sorry, I'm understanding Murillo is going to be out, and they're sweating on Cunha and Morato potentially. I think Morato might come in, but they want Cunha to play. Right. But if Cunha doesn't play, a lot of the Forest fans, from what I can see online, are very not content about the thought process of Morato playing.
Again, obviously, we're not going to know until Thursday whether that's sort of mind games. We know Hudson-Odoi is out for the season. That one's been confirmed. The Murillo one, I think they said he could be a couple of games, but they never specified a specific time. So it wouldn't surprise me if he rocks up on Thursday and plays. But again, Murillo played against us at the City Ground a couple of weeks ago, scored our only goal. He did particularly well. So that's another thing.
While we're on the topic of injuries, and we will get onto the Villa team news shortly, but I think it's very, very important for us to discuss a certain Aston Villa player that didn't play against Fulham, what it looks like if he plays, and then also what are the options if he doesn't play. So Amadou Onana feels like bullet to the brain for me, to be honest with you, because obviously with Kamara being missing, Onana is the best option that we have for that defensive midfielder role, and he does his work defensively quite well, I think, and I think he's shown that he's very capable and very, very, he's a good leader on the pitch as well. When not so much when all the others were missing, but he's a character, as a voice in the dressing room. I think we'd miss him tenfold if he's not playing. We saw the weekend Bogard stepped in and he was well off the pace. I'm not going to go too much into his performance. We've already spoke about that on the reaction podcast from the Fulham game. But what I will say is I think Onana's absolutely imperative for this game.
100%. I think you look into it and you say, if Douglas Luiz comes in, the thing with Douglas Luiz is emotions. Obviously, he was there the last time we were in a European Semi Final and had an absolute mare. Yeah. We don't want him going in with a thing of I need to prove myself and doing something rash.
Ross Barkley can't play.
Bogard's obviously very 50-50 in terms of the performances you get out of him, unfortunately. For me, I think there's one clear option that should play there, but he won't play there. And
Lindelof.
I think it's a no-brainer. They've probably got the most experience in the squad in terms of European pedigree. He's won it with Man United. He's played for Benfica for years. He's played in the number 6 role. He's unbelievable passer. He can win the ball back. It allows Tielemans to go forward as well. If he plays, will it happen? Absolutely not. Probably knowing Emery, I don't even think he'd even consider it, which is a bit concerning. I know Ezri Konsa mentioned he wants to play in midfield at some point, so...
God, no, this definitely isn't the time to bloody try it, is it?
But it's going to be Douglas Luiz if Onana's not playing, you'd imagine. I think Bogard... I think Emery's at a point now, we saw with Leon Bailey when he made that mistake against Bologna to let him go, he had the goal, he didn't play the next 2 games, and I think that will be similar with Bogard, where he's not had the best performance. Sancho again, when Sancho didn't play well against Sunderland, obviously, he then only got about 5 minutes against Fulham at the end, or 10 minutes against Fulham, so I think it probably will be Douglas Luiz if it's not Onana, but you are right, Onana is crucial in terms of when we played at the City Ground, their midfield had nothing against us, so Onana was man of the match by a mile.
Yeah, it was incredible. All right, so let's go through the team news, potential team prediction, and try and make of it what we will. We'll probably do it with Onana, and then what we think it will be if he doesn't play. So starting off in goal, Emiliano Martinez, without a shadow of a doubt. It will definitely be Matty Cash. I think Luca Digne will start at left back. Mm-hmm. He seems to start all the big games. Centre backs, Konsa, Pau.
Yeah, I think it'll be Pau and Konsa.
He seems to play him every single time in Europe, doesn't he? Defensive midfield, obviously, Onana with Tielemans next to him. Left wing, Rodgers, maybe. It'll be Rodgers and McGinn will be in there, 100%.
It'll
They're
be
two of the
Rodgers,
names.
McGinn, and Buendia, I'd have thought. I think those three will be the nailed on.
I agree. I'd rather not see Buendia personally.
Here's one for you, Ben.
I'd like to see Sancho given a game.
Yeah. Gonna throw it out there. Do you think there's potential to see, if Onana is fit, Douglas Luiz and Onana and Tielemans pushed up to the 10?
I would like it. Yeah, I'd like it. But I don't know. I don't think he trusts Dougie. I think Dougie's gone. He hasn't. He's hardly playing.
Yeah.
Just tells me Emery don't trust him. There's a reason why.
It'd be poetic, wouldn't it, if Douglas Luiz was the man who scored the goal against Forest. After the heartbreak in the last semi-final, being at Forest for half a season this season, it would be poetic if he was to score.
It would be, but this is Unai Emery we're talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say, this isn't a fairy tale, unfortunately.
Douglas Luiz has played 17-minute cameo against Fulham, 17 minutes against Bologna, 14 minutes against Nottingham Forest, 24 minutes against West Ham. His last start was against Lille.
Yeah. I think it's a given. It'll be Onana and Tielemans, and then, like you say, I'd like to see Sancho personally. But then again, Sancho, the last couple of games since those sort of rumours of him going back to Dortmund, he's been pretty poor. A couple of mistakes against Sunderland. I don't think he really had an impact when he came on against Fulham either. And then obviously Watkins will be up front. We know that. So it is probably the only places we can't be sure of is the number 10 role and the number 6, depending on whether Onana's fit or not.
I think you've got a fair assessment there, mate. I think the number 6. I do like what you say about the potential of Victor Lindelof coming in, but I just don't see Emery doing that personally.
No.
It's a tough one, isn't it? What do you reckon the score's going to be, mate? What are you going for?
2-1 Villa.
I think it'll be a 1-1 draw.
I don't like doing draws, so I'm gonna age it 2-1 Villa.
I think I was right the last time I said it was a draw, so yeah. I would take that now. I think if we did get a draw, I think it'd be I'd take it. I think it'd be a good result.
Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't mind a draw, but I just don't want to predict it.
Yeah, fair enough. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we end the pod?
I think that's all, mate.
Right, Villa fans, just a quick reminder, if you have made it this far, we do have an ongoing giveaway for either match tickets or a shirt of your choice. All that you need to do to qualify, smash that subscribe button. We give that away every 500 subs, and we are getting close to the next giveaway, so don't miss out on that. And as always, from me and Cory, up the Villa.